Hey everyone, you are watching Kaushal BaatCheet. Welcome to this seventh episode of our first series, How Asking Questions Rightly Matters. Today we have another magnetic personality as our special guest for you, who is building your favorite platform, DoubtConnect. And you know what? With DoubtConnect, you can solve all your doubts by an interactive and personalized way. Just with one tap, a teacher or subject expert will be available to resolve all your doubts instantly. He is none of us the man behind DoubtConnect, Mr. Raghav Mishra. So, hope this episode will be helpful to millions to understand the importance of asking questions and building the habit of asking questions inside the classroom as well as the others. Okay, so let's welcome Mr. Raghav. So, welcome Raghav. Welcome to the Kaushal BaatCheet. So in this episode, we will discuss about how asking questions rightly matters. Okay. So hopefully this episode will help the students a lot to understand the importance of asking question, and that is with your practical experience. Okay. So let's the chat begin. Okay.
Sure.
So before discussing deeper into the discussions themes, okay, I would like to know about your childhood. Okay, how was about that? Please, can you explain?
Sure. So my childhood has been pretty decent, right? So with respect to me being inquisitive, I actually was very inquisitive since grade one, right? I think I had borderline ADHD, right? And that's when I tried to I used to sort of read a lot of encyclopedias. I really loved sort of going through a lot of geographies and everything, right? So I really love geography, right? I loved reading about new countries and
Okay,
what was there in it. And there was a point when I knew almost all 193 flags. I could identify with this, and I was really good in atlas and everything. But yeah, I think but if you look at it, right, doubts generally don't come in subjects like geography, history, and all those things.
yeah,
Doubts generally rise in math, and all those technical subjects where how do I derive to this and all. So I think when I at my later stage, when I was in say grade six and grade seven, when I was fascinated by space, right? So I've been a huge space fan, right? I think I was a wonder kid for space, right? And I think that that's something that I've probably inherited from my father, right? Who himself was very good at all those technical subjects, right? But if you look at it, right, fundamentally, if you look at it, students actually go on to ask doubts only after grade five or grade six when they are introduced to STEM-based subjects, which is science, technology, engineering, and math. Before that, what you have is fascination, and there's a huge difference between fascination and doubts. I might be fascinated by geography, but I might necessarily not have a doubt in geography, right? So that's the fundamental difference that we've been clearing out, right? And I think that's how it is, right? For example, if I get a doubt, generally 99% of students who have a doubt in our platform, they have a doubt in either math, either physics, or either chemistry. I think 1% would have been there, who might have a doubt in say English and how do I get my grammar right. But I think 99% of them have a doubt in math, physics, chemistry. And on an average, if you look at the Indian education system, a student is actually introduced to uh, math, physics, and chemistry at a very late stage, right? For example, grade six, grade seven, grade eight. And when you look at the Western country, I mean, when you look at Western countries, right, like US or like the European schools, students are actually introduced to STEM-based subjects at a very early stage. Although that whole paradigm is changing, right? Even in India, if you look at companies like White Hat Junior and all those companies, they've brought that early learn concept where students from grade ninth can actually from students who are in the age group of 9 to 10 can also actually get sort of into math and everything. So I think that paradigm is changing, but I think it is very necessary. I think, right, it's just important. It's important that students are exposed to technical subjects, especially in STEM, so that they get that inquisitive habit.
exactly.
So that's how it has been, right? So that I think my childhood has been pretty much general to how I mean, it has been very much alike to what it has been for everyone. I think again, same. So basically, I used to have a lot of doubts along with my friends because I was in a boarding school, and back in boarding schools we used to not have technology a lot, right? We
Yeah,
weren't really exposed to a lot of technology. In fact, we used to get internet about one for an hour every week. where we used to sort of, use that time to either play Counter Strike or, just browse through browse through internet and all. So we weren't really, sort of having a lot of, in fact, we didn't have calculators, right? And I believe that calculators is something that is, sort of destroying the right side of the brain, because I really feel that, people have started to rely too much on that, and because of which mental aptitude and all those things have, eroded. And I think, if you look at it, right, my generation used to have abacus. I'm not really sure if, the current generation doesn't, I mean, even knows it, right?
Yeah, yeah,
I think
yeah.
abacus helped me. Yeah, abacus, Vedic math, all those things helped me, get very comfortable with my calculations and things. So I think a calculator was introduced to me at a very late stage. I think after grade 12, or even in my first year of my college, when I was, learning economics and macroeconomics, and that's when you really need it, right? But before that, I think, that's how it was for, people back in boarding school. And I think that has actually played a huge role in me, sort of, being an inquisitive child. Sometimes, teachers also used to, be like, you should be sort of shutting up right now, because we've got
Exactly.
to, teach the whole curriculum and everything. But it's important that, that's the part and parcel of life, the part and parcel of life, because students should be in that area where, they are exposed to, questioning and, all those things.
Exactly. So, Raghav, how was the questions? Means what kind of questions actually you were asking in the end of a week whenever you have the access to the internet? So, what kind of questions can you remember? Any samples?
So fundamentally, if you look at it, right? So for example, if I were a grade 10 student, then my degree of questions would be different, right? On So the question could be anything, right? It could either be a life question as well. I've done my grade 10, and I'm confused on what do I do, right? And that has changed, right? For example, probably in early 2000s, people used to seek, advice from their elders, that I've done my grade 10, I've scored 9.2, 9.4 percentile out of 10, and what do I do now? What are the career options, that they are ahead of me, right? But now that whole paradigm has changed. Now people rely on the internet. I want facts versus some old guy's advice who doesn't even know his shit. How does he know? And how would he sort of, tell me? So I think people have started to rely on internet more, that, if I want to understand what's there for me in the career, I think, people would definitely, sort of search in that in the internet. And there are a lot of platforms, like I think Quora has been that platform that has been, sort of, sort of taking it from there, right? Where it has been, seeing people are coming to the platform. And I have personally seen people, coming to the platform, asking that I've scored this much in my IIT and I want to do this, but how do I get there? How do I set a routine? So that's why, you've got a lot of professionals answering that, and that has been a paradigm change, right? Community-based, platforms have actually, played a huge role in people's, way of asking questions, right? And the quality of questions as well, right? Obviously, when you've got a community-based asking platform, then obviously the quality of question also degrades, right? Because now anyone comes to the platform and asks anything, that I have just had a, say, bad year. I spent my year doing this, but now what do I do? Or all those things. So I think over there the quality is degraded, but I think it's a great forum for people to come and talk to new people, and get to know the best out of it.
Exactly. So you have actually said one thing very rightly. At that point of time, okay. So searching something in the internet means, so we have to wait for a week or something like that. Okay. But now we are searching. Children can search within a minute, isn't it? Okay.
Yeah.
So do
Yeah.
you think this kind of activities are affecting the inquisitiveness of the students, or in which way? I mean, so what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think, they're both sides of it, right? For example, if,
Okay.
for example, now, so you don't even have to go to the internet, right? For example, if I have a Amazon Echo at my place, then I'm gonna ask Alexa that, hey Alexa, I've just flunked my board exams, and what do I do right now? So Alexa is gonna come up and tell me that, Raghav, you should be sort of, doing this or that. But I think it actually depends on how well do you use it, right? Obviously, there's nothing better than internet, right? I think for my people of my generation, they would obviously prefer talking, I mean, sort of, talking to professionals in the internet, and then, getting the best out of it. Obviously, I really have utmost respect for, elders, because they've been there, done that, they've seen the world more than me, and, and they obviously have got their own experience, and you can never beat experience life, right? Because experience is something that teaches you, quite a lot, right? So but not beating it. But I think obviously internet, if used properly, then I think it's a great forum to sort of get your doubts cleared, or not only your doubts cleared, you get everything about your life cleared and sorted, right? For example, if I need motivation, I'm just gonna go to YouTube and watch a nice video, right? Or if I need to watch a podcast, I mean, listen to a podcast, I can just go to Spotify and watch a nice podcast, right? So I have everything in my control. It's in my fingers, right? And that has changed. For example, if I needed to ask something, people would actually travel to. I mean, we've known people who are users of DoubtConnect who actually travel, say, 6 or 7 kilometers into their villages just because they don't have a phone, right? They go to a house in their village, and then they have got a phone, and then that's how they ask a doubt on our platform, and that. So it depends on the effort, right? They are traveling 6 kilometers to and fro, and just to ask a question, right? Just to get a 30-minute or a 40-minute session with us. So that actually matters on how much are you willing to go ahead for that whole experience. So I think that matters a lot. And it obviously it has to be used well, right? I think so. I give you an example, right? People cycling 6 kilometers just to get till there, and then people actually making, I mean, sort of taking it for granted as well. That I'm going to leave everything to Alexa, right? People have actually started to turn off the lights also through Alexa only, which I feel is that which I feel is quite lazy to do, right? So there's some things that people should sort of understand and take undue opportunity of.
Okay. So actually, the synonym of Raghav actually basically is doubt. Okay, means every time so I have listened the word doubt. So, what kind of projects you are running? Please, can you please elaborate more? It means for our students. Okay, what kind of things you are contributing for our nation, for our students? Okay, with respect to that doubt, please.
The company, right?
Yeah, yeah. Please say about your
Yeah.
company, your project. Okay. And what kind of
Yeah.
problems you are trying to solve. Okay, fine.
Yeah. So the fundamental problem that we at DoubtConnect, which we've sort of identified, is that if you look at the bigger picture, right, the current edtech market is designed for mass consumption, right? When I mean mass consumption, it's if you look at it, right, from 2020 to 2021, or probably from 2019 to 2020, after just the whole COVID thing happened, there was a whole paradigm shift from offline based learning to online based learning, right? And all those platforms, which I wouldn't want to name right now, they actually went on to replicate the same offline based learning model to an online one, where again there were 30, 40 students sitting together with a teacher and everything, right? So there was no value addition in learning. Students did not have an increasing learning outcome, which was very heartbreaking for us, because we're still students, right? And we've just been out of that whole K-12 system, and we believe that education is not something like that. And education, when transformed through technology, obviously has to have a better learning outcome for students. So that's when we decided that the current edtech market is designed for mass consumption. It was very unaffordable. It was bundled. Students could not control the pace of learning, and there was very limited regional language support, right? Because if you look at it, the next set of growth in edtech is going to come from the NHB, the next half billion. These people come from the emerging classes. They could be anyone, sons and daughters of watchmen, or maids, or domestic workers, or whatever, whatnot, right? And these people have got unparalleled dreams of learning, but with limited resources and decent internet connectivity. So obviously, Geo has played a huge role in getting internet till there. So what stops them from using the internet? It's the price of all those platforms, right? They're asking about 1.5 lakh rupees or 1 lakh rupees for a package, which is very difficult for them, because if you look at it, the average per capita income in India is $3,000. So which is nothing, right? Which is very heartbreaking for us, and we decided to solve for this problem, right? So we built DoubtConnect. So what we built at DoubtConnect is that you come to a platform, you upload a photo, and within 30, 40 seconds we use an algorithm that that connects you to a tutor in just 30, 40 seconds. So therefore we ensure that you get a quality tutor, and then we also use an algorithm which connects, which takes into consideration your board, your grade, your class, your language, your subtopic, your doubt, and based on all those factors, it connects you to a tutor, which ensures better learning outcomes for students, and which actually is reflected in our average rating per doubt as well, right? So our current average rating per doubt is 4.8 out of 5, which means that students have been sort of having a nice time studying at DoubtConnect. Our retention rates have been quite decent. Our growth has been quite organic, right? So we've spent nothing on marketing, right? All our growth that has come is purely organic. So which means that students have always been wanting for a full stack learning platform. And when I mean a full stack learning platform, we've got a 3-way strategy to do that. What we do is that we've got Padho, देखो or milo. So in Padho, what we've done is that students can come to a platform and learn by asking doubts. Because I think again, if you ask a doubt, you actually go on to complete 90% of that whole topic, right? So Padho. And then Dekho mein, what we've done is that we've built an open source repository which is very similar to YouTube, but it is full of doubts. So students can watch those doubts, and we've built an machine learning recommendation model where the next video that is suggested to the student itself is very addicting. So we want to replace uh, social media with learning, right? And how do we do that? We built a very interactive learning model for students, right? That's one thing. And then we've got
Uh,
padho,
the
padho, dekho or milo.
second was what? पढ़ो के बाद देखो देखो.
Padho, dekho or milo.
देखो
Dekho
में
or
क्या
milo.
होता है एक्चुअली?
देखो में we've got a open source repository. It's like YouTube only, जहाँ पे तुम videos देख सकते हैं हम लोग. And उसमें हम लोग ने एक so what we're also building is our own bite-sized content platform where students can come and watch bite-sized content that is going to be of like 40 seconds, right? For example, and this was very much inspired by our own chemistry teacher. So I remember we used to have this very sweet chemistry teacher at school, right, Miss Promila. And the way she used to teach us chemistry was a very interactive way, right? I mean, for example, if I were to learn periodic table, they would teach me in a way that, Herna, Nina, Ni, Karina. So it was very easy for me to sort of understand periodic table, right? All you needed
Yeah.
was an easy way to learn it. So that's something that we're trying to replicate at DoubtConnect as well, where, students would have the full freedom to sort of,
Hmm.
uh, learn in a very interactive way in just 30-40 seconds. So basically, we're trying to replace Instagram
Reels
Reels,
time.
TikTok, and all those platforms. Yeah, so we're trying to replace Instagram Reels, TikTok, and all those platforms through education and education-based learning content, right? And the third one is Milo. So we believe that collaboration is the key for students to sort of go ahead. So what we've done is that right now we've got a Discord community where all our users come in that Discord community and talk to teachers. They talk to their friends, and they post a doubt, and then a friend answers that doubt for them. So basically, it enhances collaboration inside the platform itself, which actually helps with the engagement time and everything. And students have a great time learning that. We've got Pomodoro. Pomodoro is a very European technique where students come together, they turn on their video cameras and study together, so that none of them gets distracted. Which is a very nice. I really believe that I should have had that. So that it would have helped me from distraction. Because when you're watching someone, it's like your parents holding a stick and making you study. People. It may sound that it's not nice, but it actually helps, right? Because you know that your parents are watching you from behind, and you have to study. And there are people who actually need that. Who need that support. That I need that motivation from outside. Maybe my intrinsic motivation might not motivate me that much to sort of study. So therefore, we need that, right? So that's again, padho, dekho, or milo. And I think this three front strategies actually is gonna help us, sort of get ahead with providing students with a complete doubt solving experience.
Yeah, yeah. So Raghav, means so while building this system, how questioning helps you to build that, to build doubt connect?
Yeah. So yeah, I think entrepreneurship itself is a whole new journey, right? It's a very different journey, and I'm personally being a first time entrepreneur, right? This is my first gig, right? So, and not only for me, for Suraj and Gaia, who are my co-founders as well, right? So we've actually asked more questions, throughout this whole entrepreneurship journey, compared to our schools and everything, right? Because it requires questioning at every stage, right? Starting from ideation to your product being built and uploaded on the Play Store and everything, right? You've got people who are in the UI development, who are building your product, who are your techies and everything, right? So questioning obviously plays a huge role, because I think if I were to talk about the UI process, right, where you design the app and everything, that itself led to a lot of questioning, a lot of user reviews, and talking to a lot of users on a different scale and everything, right? So that itself was a very new experience for us, where we would every day argue with the designer, right? That okay, bro, this is how it has to be done. But then obviously he himself had his own rationale, which made us sort of listen to him and get the things done according to him. But obviously, I think when you get into entrepreneurship, right, questioning obviously is the way forward, right? Without questioning and without inherent questioning, right? I think I would say passive active questioning is very important in this whole journey, right? Because if you don't question, you might go wrong. So this is the way of living in this ecosystem, right? So I think that's how it has been for us. And we do have that every day, right? So every day when we sort of talk to our developers for our meetings and everything, it's important that sort of you question and we clear the gaps, because the doubts get created in your team, right, the more it is hazardous for the tier for the company as well. So it's important that you clear the air. And how do you do that? You get that done by questioning your team. And and I don't mean questioning in a very harsh way. I mean, you try to make them feel comfortable so that they themselves are comfortable sort of working in that whole ecosystem and everything. So that's how it is.
Nice, nice. So, building the question asking platform. Okay, you were asking so many questions to build that system, isn't it? So, Raghav, can you remember the journey before your entrepreneurial journey, before your entrepreneurial part? Okay, how was that with question, and after joining the startup and doing something about? So, how your way of asking questions changed?
Yeah. So obviously till grade 12, I think
Is
I
it
was
changed? Is
pretty
it
much.
changed? If so, then please. Is it changed?
Yeah. So it obviously changes, right? It obviously changes. So for example, I'll give you an example. I am a law student, right? I'm actually studying law, which is very
Okay.
strange
So can you
for
please
people, right?
introduce
Because I
also? Can you please introduce also?
sorry.
Okay, what kind of academics there? Okay, about your academics
Yeah.
and how you have shifted to entrepreneur and what is that leadership means leading question that is
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So basically, after my grade 12, I decided to do law, right? So I didn't decide to do law, but I wanted to do BB, and my parents, put me into law, and so I thought of doing it because they felt that law was a nice course. It had its own respect and everything. So I was very new to this, right? And I was very bad at it, right? In fact, I remember in my first semester, I got five supplementaries just because I knew nothing about law, right? It was very difficult. I just didn't understand anything. And I was very new to it because my friends, who all my friends were, I mean, all my friends, they were into, they all, or they had a background of, studying it or, getting exposed to it in some sort, but I hated it. I was just doing it just because my parents wanted it, right? And then over a period of time, COVID happened, which is a great thing. Everything went online and, gave me a bandwidth to decide, what do I have to do? And then obviously, so during law, I used to have no questions, or if I used to have questions, those used to be very stupid ones, right? My professors were very ashamed of answering those questions, but I wasn't really good at it, right? My questions would be very stupid ones, especially in criminal law, right? So I that's when I decided ki I think the questions that I have been asking lately aren't good ones. So it's important that I figure out what do I have to do, right? Because I think it depends. It actually reflects. A lot of teachers would actually agree with me that the kind of questions a student asks, shows his intellectual level, right, in that particular subject. And I feel that I wasn't made for law, right? And that's when this whole problem statement thing happened, right? We would. It was a very organic problem which we saw that this is a huge thing that we need to build, right? And that's when I decided let me do this. Let me get into entrepreneurship because I know I'm not going to end up anywhere with this with law. So that's when this whole entrepreneurship thing happened, and I got into this, and actually this I really believe that this is my mojo, and I think I found what I wanted to do for a very long time. But yeah, I was never made for law.
Okay. So after joining means entrepreneurial spirit. Okay. After having the entrepreneurial spirit. So can you remember any kind of questions that were leading you to do some traction in any product building, yeah, team building, yeah, okay. So any kind of question that you remember that yes, that question leads me to certain direction, to better direction.
Yeah, so it's a whole journey, right? For example, you start off with when I started with DoubtConnect, right? So I was very I would say I mean I used to approach a lot of people, right? I used to just write mails to people from Sequoia and Tiger Global and all those big VCs saying that boss, I need your money and I'm building this, and those people were very say very genuine enough to sort of say that it's very early for us to come in and I mean they were just doing it in a very decent way to say no, we're not going to do that. But then that taught me, right, that I need to build a product, right? So that's when it got me that I need to start building a proper product, and then probably get some traction, and then talk to those people. I really believe that now also talking to all the species and all is still slightly early for me. I think I still need to sort of get till a decent traction where I believe that I build a resonate. I mean, I have a resonate team. I have a resonate product that stands resolutely behind me. So I think I would say that that whole journey throughout from point zero to point to one, right? When you talk about it, right? So we were at zero. Our journey endpoint is one, but I think right now we've got to 0.2. So that whole journey from 0 to 0.2 has been possible only because we were inquisitive, right? If we weren't inquisitive, we weren't talking to people, then this journey wouldn't have happened. So that's how it is, right? So I think that's how it is for almost all entrepreneurs you meet. The more you question, the more you get in perspective of how everything works around you. So that's how it is.
Exactly. So, Raghav, as you have discussed currently, ki entrepreneurial journey is basically based on the right questioning. Okay. So, if you ask the right question to right people in right time, then it becomes something that is valuable. Okay.
Yeah.
So, why is it means why there is no culture like this? Okay, entrepreneurial culture, question asking culture is not there in school life. Why is it so? Why we have
I
no
think,
spirit like that? Okay, about asking question, because all humans are entrepreneur. Okay, by
yeah,
definition. Okay, everyone
yeah,
is trying to do something to for their sustain. Okay, so
yeah.
definitely, so how entrepreneurial spirit was not there in academics, in school life? What do you think about that?
I think I think I would say that people weren't really exposed to entrepreneurship back then. I think in early 2010s or in 2012, I really believe that back then the whole focus was getting a good job and then uh, uh, doing something for ourselves. And I think there's a very economic reason to it because I think if you look at it right back then India was still growing, right, and and India is a country that has the second highest disposable income in the world, right, just after Mexico, which actually reflects the hard work that our parents have done, right, on trying to save money and get your children a better education and everything. So and then and that point was increasing at an increasing rate, right? And then we came back to 2019, 2020, where people actually started seeing increase in funding, increase in the number of money that people started having, and that's when people started putting their students, I mean their children into boss, you can sort of try to get into entrepreneurship. But I think in early 2011, 2012, people were just getting a touch of it, right, a hint
Yeah.
of it, but it wasn't a full stack experience for people, students back then. So I think with time over and again, I think the next generation, right, who are still in schools, who are in say grade 6, grade 7, when they reach grade 10 or grade 11, they are going to get exposed to entrepreneurship and at a very early age. In fact, you've seen people, I mean, I've seen people who are at grade 11 or grade 12 who have been, sort of, sorry, who are at, who are of age 11 and age 12, who
Okay.
sort of coding their own platforms and everything. So I think the more and more, technology reaches the people, the more and more internet happens. And I think the best answer to your question is that internet happened later in India, right? All of us got exposed to internet only after 2014, 2015. I think there were very few ones who were exposed to internet 2008 and 2009. So the main population who were the consumer internet market, right? They were the ones who got exposed in 2014 and 2015. Just after 3 years, it happened. So I think the more and more population gets exposed to it, I think we're gonna see a lot of people coming from tier two and tier three cities into this, right? I think I mean Delhi government has been doing a great job in getting people to get into entrepreneurship and a lot of other initiatives. I think you're gonna see a lot of paradigm difference in the number of people coming from tier three and tier four cities who would have the spark to get into this entrepreneurship and everything.
Okay. So Raghav means that's what means in any entrepreneurial journey, we need solid questioning. Fine. So in the time of academics, in the time of our means grade one, grade of to grade 12, like that in general. So how can we culture the art of questioning? How can we culture about that? Okay, means see, means students are not asking due to various reasons. Okay, like first reason we can say the fear of being judged. Okay, अगर मैं ऐसा क्वेश्चन पूछूं तो टीचर क्या सोचेंगे, मेरा फ्रेंड्स क्या बोलेंगे,
Yeah,
लाइक अ फीलिंग ऑफ एम्बेरसमेंट. ओके, एंड ऐसे भी होता है कि कहीं पर मीन से टीचर का डोमिनेंस भी होता है. फाइन, सो दैट स्टूडेंट्स आर अनेबल टू आस्क क्वेश्चन. सो ऐसे बहुत
Yeah.
होते हैं. फाइन. तो जो स्टूडेंट्स एक्चुअली, अगर हम स्टूडेंट को एक कैटेगरी बनाएंगे फाइन क्वेश्चन के हिसाब से, तो ऐसे एक स्टूडेंट कुछ ग्रुप्स है, सबसेट है, जो क्वेश्चन पूछते हैं फाइन, एंड दे आर सॉल्विंग द आई कैन से ग्लोबल लेवल ऑफ प्रॉब्लम्स. ओके, क्योंकि हमारा जो एजुकेशन सिस्टम कंप्लीटली डाइवर्सिफाइड है, जो नो दैट. ओके, सो यहाँ पे ऐसे भी स्टूडेंट है जो ग्लोबल लेवल की प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व कर रहे हैं, ऐसे भी स्टूडेंट है जिनको मीन्स क्लास 10 स्टूडेंट को पता नहीं है कि 1 मिनट में कितने सेकंड्स होते हैं. ऐसे भी स्टूडेंट्स है, ये
Yeah.
रेंज है, बट ये फैक्ट है. फाइन. तो
Yeah. Yeah.
ये जो स्पेक्ट्रम की इतना गैप्स है ना, ये गैप में इंक्विजिटिवनेस को कल्चर करना थोड़ी बहुत तो मुश्किल है. ओके, इतना इतना भी
Yeah.
काम नहीं है. ठीक है. तो यहाँ पे जो बैरियर्स होता है, ओके, ये दो तरह बैरियर्स होता है, एक है स्टूडेंट की तरह, एक है टीचर की तरह. ठीक है. तो स्टूडेंट की जो बैरियर्स होते हैं उसको तोड़ने के लिए हम कैसे मीन्स स्टार्ट कैसे कर सकते हैं, आपको क्या फील होता है?
या तो अगर अगर हमें इस चीज को अगर हमें सॉल्व करना है तो हम लोग को सबसे पहले ये देखना है कि हमारे एक क्लास में राइट in a class what kind of students do we get, right? So in a class we basically get three kinds of students, right? The front benchers, the middle benchers and the back benchers. बैक बेंचर्स की अलग पार्टी चलती है राइट, वो अलग ही रहते हैं, अलग दुनिया में रहते हैं, उनको नहीं पता क्या चल रहा है क्लास में राइट.
नहीं.
They've got the yeah, they don't care about what goes. And I think I have personally been a backbencher, and I know how that is. It is right. I think after grade 10 and grade 9, I think I myself became a backbencher. I love being there. So I think that's when I didn't really ask a lot of doubts. But if you look at it, right, the most doubts in the class are asked by the front benchers. But the kind of doubts they ask, they are the ones who are really good at studies, right? They understand what's being taught, and the kind of doubts that they ask, it goes on to actually clear the doubts of a lot of middle benchers as well. Who are average in studies, who sort of are looking to learn together, right? So for that, I think we have to realize the stakeholders in the education system, right? The stakeholders are students, the parents, the teachers, right? So basically, I think it's important that the teachers themselves, inculcate that habit of promoting doubts, right? The more you promote doubts, the more you promote people asking doubts on a forum or on the class, it's gonna help that backbenchers also to get into that a state of mind that let's do that. And how does that happen? I think a good teacher obviously knows how to run a class, right? I think I have had some great teachers, for whom even the backbenchers used to be like, ye ma'am ke liye to baithna hai hame, we love this teacher, she's really nice, and let's sort of study for the sake of her, right? And then for those, and those are the classes where you get to ask doubts, right? Student teachers would be like, out of nowhere, how are you asking a doubt? So it's important that yeah, that the teachers and the parents, right, they get in that state of mind where they promote asking a doubt and everything, right? So that's important, because I think if two stakeholders get to do that, then I think students themselves are going to get influenced by all these external factors, right? And the moment the external factors promote this, it's going to help students to it's going to give them the more freedom to sort of ask a doubt and everything. So the change begins with the student, but obviously the change has to affect the biggest stakeholders, which is the parents and the teachers of it, right?
Right. So, you know what, Raghav, means it is very important for the role of teachers to first play before accepting students. Okay. So, if you look at the ground zero level, fine. Okay. Teachers are really asking. That means we cannot say they are not asking. They are asking.
Yeah.
But the thing is that they are asking very ground one level of question. Okay, if we that means if we see the Bloom's taxonomy of asking question, category of questioning, so there are 5 level of questioning. Okay, 5 to 6 level. So ground zero जो first basic level होता है वो factual based question होता है. Okay, जो यूज होता है बेसिकली कि स्टूडेंट की प्रायर नॉलेज जो होता है प्रीवियस चैप्टर में उसको टेस्ट करने के लिए, उसको एसेस करने के लिए, एक्चुअली स्टूडेंट कुछ मीन्स पढ़ के आई है या नहीं है. ओके, उसको चेक करने के लिए. So generally teachers are asking this kind of questions. Okay, fine. एंड ये भी हमारा एक्सपेरिमेंटल भी डाटा है, हम बहुत सारे सर्वे भी किए जहाँ पे टीचर्स यूजुअली मीन्स मिनिमम 70 to 80% ऑफ टीचर वर आस्किंग द क्वेश्चन ऑफ Q1, जो ग्रेड 1 लेवल के क्वेश्चन होते हैं। बट द फैक्ट इज दैट मीन्स फॉर promoting the higher level of questions is really rare. There are few
Yeah.
teachers who were using the promoting of the higher degree of questions. Okay. So what do you think means, do you think this is the means one kind of foundation region so that children are unable to think about the higher degree of questions? Yeah. What do you think about that?
So I think to answer your question, it's important that we, trace the problem, right? So if we look at it, right, it's important that a question is asked just after teaching, right? For example, if I'm going to learn thermodynamics right now, then the timing of the question plays an important role, because if a question is asked at, say, in the evening, right, whereas my class was there in the afternoon, then my retention rates is going to be very less, right? I'm not going to remember what just happened. But if I'm just asked after my class gets over, my retention rates are better than it's going to be in the evening, because I'm going to remember what's been taught to me, right? And over a period of time, that retention rate, sort of degrades. So, for example, what I learned today, I wouldn't remember tomorrow, and I would remember less of that in the day after that, right? So
Yeah.
it's important that it's important that if I were to teach something, I question the student at every point of time. For example, I use a three-way journey where I trace that student. For example, I make sure that if I taught in thermodynamics, then he should remember this for life. I think. And I remember I used to have a very amazing physics teacher who taught me scalar and vector quantities and all those things, right? And which I really remember by heart, right? I still remember the definition by heart, because I think the way he used to sort of teach us, that's still there with me, right? Buoyancy and all those things, Archimedes principle and all those things. I think Pythagoras theorem, all these things. I think it's been about 6-7 years since I've learned all these things, but I still remember it because somehow the connect with the teacher held me. So I think that's pretty much what we've been doing at DoubtConnect as well. For example, the moment a session gets over, you rate your session, and then we've got an assessment, right, where you go through that assessment, and we ask you questions based on what was taught. So it's all AI enabled, right? You The moment you end your session, the computer comes to know that, okay, this was taught to you, all these concepts were cleared, and then we create an assessment for you. You go through that assessment, and then we come to know that what was the learning outcome. So how much were you before and how much were you after that. I think the more and more we do this, the more and more we sort of use the users learning data, the more and more we come to know that how better can we make it, with respect to how better can we improve his learning outcomes and everything. And then that should be done, right? And the more and more data we have, the more and more better it becomes for the student to learn and ask more questions.
Exactly. So Raghav, as you know, means there are three category as per you have told कि फर्स्ट बेंचर्स, मिडिल बेंचर्स, लास्ट बेंचर. तो जो लास्ट बेंचर्स कैटेगरी होता है, एक्चुअली लास्ट ऐसे वर्ड तो यूज नहीं करना चाहिए, ठीक है. तो जो वो सेगमेंट होता है, वो सेगमेंट को कैरी ही नहीं है, ठीक है, पार्टिसिपेशन की, क्लासरूम पार्टिसिपेशन की. बट अगर टीचर अच्छा है, अगर टीचर एंगेज करता है, ठीक है, वो एंगेज होता है. दैट मीन्स देयर इज नो प्रॉब्लम विद द स्टूडेंट्स. ये क्लियर है? फाइन.
No, it obviously depends on the student's willingness to learn as well. I think there are some great tutors who I think teachers are fundamentally very nice, right? They've got a great job of talking to new people and getting teaching them for a semester and everything. But also it depends on how well can you connect with the tutor, right? A great tutor, a tutor who might be having PhD from Princeton or Harvard or Stanford, but he might still not connect with a lot of people, right? Then what's the point of getting that? But if you look at the Super 30 class in Bihar, right? So now, I mean, having the conviction that I'm going to take 30 students, going to clear their IIT. So I think he himself is a teacher. What there's no big difference, right? He's not got a huge PhD from Cambridge or Oxford or anything, right? He's just a normal tutor. But then the conviction that he brings along, that boss, these are 30 students, and I'm going to make sure that these people get into top IITs, right? So this is the conviction that teachers need. That I need to I need to get in on ground and make sure that students have an increase in their learning outcomes. So it actually depends on the students' willingness to learn, but also the students on ground, the teachers on ground efforts.
Definitely. टीचिंग आई फील मीन्स इट इज मोर आर्ट देन साइंस. ठीक है, आपको कनेक्ट करना आना
Yeah,
चाहिए. ओके, सो जो
obviously, but then I think science also matters. I think how does science matter? It's basically using technology, right? If teachers understand the art of teaching, then I think science using technology can make it even better. And then I think it can have, I mean, marvelous learning outcomes for students, right? So the art of teaching is important, and the moment that is achieved, I think students can actually learn to. I think technology can play a huge role to help students with their learning outcomes.
definitely, definitely. So for the kind of questions, okay, means for the students, okay, there are so many barriers. Okay, there are so many barriers why they stop asking questions. Okay, but there is one barrier which is very very important. Key, the atmosphere of classroom. Okay, they don't feel that kind of safe and secure to pose a question, to ask a question, so that they are stopping. Fine. Okay. So
Yeah.
according to you, how can we build that kind of atmosphere? Means just one to two suggestions, so that we can build that kind of atmosphere, so that students can feel safe and secure. Okay.
Yeah, I think if I don't really have the data, but I really believe that if in a class of 10 compared to class of 40, the nature of questions asked and the magnitude of questions asked is obviously going to be more compared to a class of 40, because in a class of 10 the bond between students is better, right? Because every student knows each other properly, and they understand their strengths and weakness properly, so they sort of have that habit where they might question each other, right? They might even question the teacher. But in a class of 40, there's so much diversity in a student,
Yeah.
right? There's so much diversity in the student's learning needs, right? In a class of 40, you might have a student who might require special learning.
Mm.
you know this is there might be a student who might be a little slow in learning, and then there might be students who would be absolutely toppers, or I would say the perfect tens, right? And then there would be students who would be average in learning. So the
Different.
diversity in learning itself is so high in a class of 40 or a class of 30, that it becomes difficult to do that. But then again, art of teaching and technology when mixed can obviously have some amazing outcomes for students, right? Because then technology personalizes it, right? I personally have been trying to study the special education market, right? Because we have plans of helping students with special education needs through DoubtConnect, right? Because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
believe that this is a very big opportunity for us, right? And more, I mean, rather than sympathizing with the special education or special students, it's important that we empathize with them, and build a solution for them. So we ourselves are planning to sort of build something for these special children, right? For how do we make learning better for them? Because I think if you look at solutions available for deaf children, if you look at solutions available for blind children, there are many, right? For example, if I want to learn, I've got obviously if I'm blind, I want to learn, I've got a braille system where I can feel and understand what's there. But for a student who requires special education, for them there are not many platforms that they can depend on, and ask. And I think these students have to be treated with with the best platforms, right? Because I think if there's no point of having good technology, superior technology, if you cannot help the most needy students, right? And I think this is a very big opportunity for almost all tech platforms to cater to this problem, that how do we make sure that these people who matter the most are benefited, sort of get benefited from this whole thing, right? So this is
Exactly.
how it is.
Exactly. So last but not at least, okay. So स्टूडेंट को क्वेश्चनिंग कल्चर बहुत ही जरूरत है. फाइन, ये तो फाइन है. एंड बैरियर्स भी बहुत है, उसको तोड़ना भी है. ठीक है. तो अगर एक एक दो सजेशन देना चाहोगे, तो वो सजेशन क्या होगा कि क्वेश्चनिंग प्रैक्टिस मीन्स जो हैबिट फॉर्मिंग करना चाहिए स्टूडेंट को क्वेश्चनिंग का, तो उसके लिए ऐसे एक दो सजेशन क्या होगा कि जो उनको हेल्प करेगा क्वेश्चनिंग हैबिट को
Yeah,
कल्चर करने में.
I think I have just one solution that I really believe that I would have followed in when I was a kid. I think it's discipline. It's pure discipline, right? I now I, so the I'll tell you. I'll give an example. For students
I
who
may
get into
add here, just I may add here, okay, I may add
yeah
here something. that is from grade 5 to grade 12 student स्पेसिफिकली. ओके, तो ये स्टूडेंट को K12 स्टूडेंट को अगर हम क्या सजेशन देंगे तो सो दैट उसको हेल्प होगा हैबिट बिल्डिंग करने के.
सो डाउट पूछना और ये सब चीजों से पहले स्टूडेंट्स को पहले एक डिसिप्लिन वाली जर्नी में जाना जरूरी है. इट्स इम्पोर्टेंट दैट स्टूडेंट्स अपने लाइफ के साथ डिसिप्लिन से डिसिप्लिन मतलब बिहेवियर वाइज तो हाँ वो तो हर बंदा पीपल हैव अ हैबिट ऑफ प्लेइंग अराउंड एंड एवरीथिंग, बट मोर देन दैट यू हैव टू बी डिसिप्लिन्ड अबाउट योर लाइफ, राइट? I don't mean you must know what I want to become since grade 5, right? Because grade 5 में pilot बनना था, but I didn't become that, right? But so it's important that you're disciplined with what you do. You are consistent in your efforts, right? If I want to study for 3 hours a day, then I'm going to study 3 hours a day, right? The moment you build a disciplined life, it leads you to a better outcome, right? And this is something that I couldn't follow when I was a kid, right? I think discipline is something that lagged in me. But when I've seen a lot of students who've excelled, I look at them and I feel that discipline is something that has got them where they are, right? And if you look at the IITian side, for example, the thing that differentiates IITians from others is that from a very early age they are told that if you want to go to IIT, you need to be disciplined. From grade 8 itself, you need to start studying this much. I mean, you don't have to study for 6 hours, right? You just study for 2 hours, but you do that every day, right? From Monday to Friday without any disturbance. So the moment you sort of start doing, getting disciplined in life about your schedules and consistency, I think everything's gonna get sorted. You are gonna, get into a better state of mind, and then the degree of questions that you ask, the magnitude of questions that you ask, the quality of questions you ask are gonna improve. And I think. And then obviously it all depends on the teachers.
Nice, great, yeah. So Raghav, I am asking that, okay, habit building करना स्टूडेंट के लिए थोड़ा बहुत तो हार्ड होता है, फाइन, ओके, उसको मेंटेन करना कंसिस्टेंटली, ओके. तो जो चीज वो स्टार्ट कर सकते इजीली क्वेश्चनिंग हैबिट को प्रैक्टिस करने के लिए स्पेसिफिकली आई एम आस्किंग, ओके, तो वो क्या कर सकते इजीली, easiest thing that he can do from day one?
Yeah, I think it's important that you sort of, for example, if there's a guy who sort of has a habit of sleeping in the afternoon, right? So अगर उसको habit बनानी है कि I try to replace that sleeping time with study time. So how do I do that? I bring a challenge, कि boss, I'm not going to sleep, but I'm going to sit in that chair. I'm not going to even sort of do anything. I'm just going to sit in that chair and sort of either open the laptop or browse through internet, but I'm just going to sit in that chair. So for the first 2-3 days, you might feel like the bed is just beside, right? I want to go and sleep. But then the more and more you take that as a challenge, right? The moment you take that as your ego, you sort of go on to do that. So the first 4 days you might even play games in your phone while sitting in the chair. But then the 5th day, you get in that habit, and then you feel like a boss game खेल लिया, now it's finally study. And then within 21 days, you sort of start studying in that same position, right? So it's important that you do things what you love, but obviously with the twist of discipline, and I think that's something that you can bring it, right? If the stakeholders of education are decent enough, they understand that things have to be taught in a very simplistic way, right? And how do we do that? We bring in easy ways to do that, right? We help students to first identify what they love, and then if you sort of get them to in that journey, then it's going to become easy for them and stakeholders as well.
Nice. So it was really nice, and I hope it will be helpful for the students, okay, to gain the kind of practical experience from Raghav, okay. So nice Raghav, thank you so much for the episode.
Thank you so much.
I hope we will discuss much more about questioning and so many things in our next episodes. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sam.
Yeah.